secret that the Aaron Rodgers relationship with Packers brass has not always been peachy. Example, they traded up and drafted another quarterback in the first round instead of getting him help last season. It's also no secret that his future is uncertain in Green Bay. Rob Demovsky of ESPN reporting that an unnamed agent suggested that the Packers are refraining from making free agent moves until something is done with Rodgers' contract. Here's the quote. I don't know who's really calling the shots there, but it's screwing the Packers in a lot of ways right now because there's just no cap space. They've called me about one of my players and said, hey, this is where we are now, and until we get something big done, hint, hint, we don't have any space. It's kind of like a lose-lose situation right now. You never want lose-lose. Jeff Saturday knows this. Jeff, good to see you, as always, sir. In case people don't know, he played with Aaron Rodgers for 1 year. Yep, you always think about him and Peyton Manning's Super Bowls, but there was the year with Aaron Rodgers. Jeff, I will get to you in a hot second, but I'm starting with Stephen A. Stephen A., what should your boy Rodgers want to do now?
If I was him, I'd want out of Green Bay. Me personally, I've been on the record. I've stated that on many occasions, and I state that now because I don't think it's just a football situation. Jeff Saturday, if I'm thinking about just football, of course I don't want to leave because I understand that I've been in back-to-back NFC Championship games. I'm knocking on the door of a Super Bowl berth, and we've got a decent squad. I'm talking about the fact that you can go elsewhere and still bring that level of success to somebody else, particularly since you just saw what Tom Brady achieved. And the thing about it is, when we think about Aaron Rodgers, who's that bad man that he is something spectacular. He is something special. We all know it. But he is somebody that has been grossly underappreciated by the Green Bay Packers. Oftentimes, I don't know how many times, Jeff, I've come on this show and I've stated that years ago, Aaron Rodgers walked into the office and talked to them, whether it was Mark Murphy or Ted Thompson at the time before Gutekunst came into play. And they basically told him to shut up and play football. You play football, we run the show. Go do your job. And that's it. That's the level of disrespect and dismissiveness that they threw in his direction. And he's never forgotten it. Now, maybe he'll admit it one day and he'll open up to people about it. Maybe he won't. But I happen to have heard religiously on several occasions that's exactly what happened to him. And then the move up in the draft to draft his successor, when clearly you're looking at a guy that has a number of years left in him. Everybody wants to talk about him playing a chip on his shoulder and all of this other stuff. It's not just about the money. It's about you having an imprint and an impact on the roster around you. Last year when he threw 2 passes to Tavon Austin, it was the first time in Aaron Rodgers' career that he had thrown to a first-round wide receiver. Think about that for a second.
Right.
This dude has been in the league since 2005. He's been a starter since 2008 and had never thrown a pass to a first-round wide receiver until last year when he threw 2 passes to Tavon Austin. They haven't prioritized surrounding him with the personnel on the offensive side of the ball. There's been numerous years there were question marks about their running game. Obviously, when you look at Devontae Adams, he's a stud. He'd be big time with or without Aaron Rodgers. But you know, DeMarcus Valdez-Scantling, the Alan Lazards, and others, there's a question mark as to whether or not that would be the case. What have you given him? And then to treat him like he's, you're just one of the other players on the roster. Go out there and do your damn job. When you have spent so many years asking him to carry this franchise on his shoulders, and to dismiss him and to treat him that way, it goes beyond the sport of football. So here's what I would propose to the Green Bay Packers. We talk about a league MVP. We're talking about a guy who is spectacular, surefire, first ballot Hall of Famer. Has anyone taken into consideration, since the Green Bay Packers are talking about being cap-strapped because his salary is so exorbitant and there's been no restructuring and we had to have like 6 guys whose deals we had to restructure, et cetera, because we're limited in cap space. Has anybody entertained, Jeff Saturday, Max Kellerman, what you could potentially get for Aaron Rodgers? Has anybody thought about that for a second? I mean, could you imagine the farm that you could get for Aaron Rodgers? Do you know how many teams would be knocking on your door? We've talked about the young stud that is Deshaun Watson when he wanted to leave the Houston Texans, what they would give up for him. We've debated that about, to a lesser degree, the Sam Darnolds of the world and others. No one has taken the time to sit back and say, what if the Green Bay Packers said, we're taking phone calls on Aaron Rodgers. Could you imagine what they could get for him? So since you got a guy Max, that in Jordan Love that you believe in and is the successor, and you think you got the other pieces around you, and it's all about the organization, not about this guy that's been carrying the franchise. I double dare the Green Bay Packers to sit up there and say, we'll take calls.
They're not going to do that now.
You're damn right they're not going to do it.
But you know what? They might
do
it, but they might do it next year. Like, the reason they don't want to restructure is because it's harder to trade him if they restructure. Look, the Packers want to have their cake and eat it too, no doubt. And if you're looking for a villain in this, it ain't Aaron Rodgers. We agree about that. But what should he want? He should want a big contract for the Packers. And I'll tell you why. I know everyone points to Tom Brady. Look, there's another way to do it. Tom Brady was dealing with a cupboard is bare situation in New England, right? There wasn't a lot of talent on that team, and he saw greener pastures. Aaron Rodgers is not in the same situation. Like, Aaron Rodgers, you could talk about what it was like in the past, even now, I won't disagree with you, even in the later years of Mike McCarthy. They got rid of Mike McCarthy. And they brought in a young coach where in Aaron Rodgers' first season, before he even knew what he was doing in the system, they won 13 games and beat Russell Wilson's Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs. In their second season together, they won another 13 games and played in the NFC Championship game without his starting tackle. And by the way, should have won. Like, let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers blundered in that game. He had daylight to the end zone. He didn't take it. And then coach blundered even bigger. But they had a chance to win and go to the Super Bowl where, given the Chiefs' injuries, they'd have won the Super Bowl, I think. So they're right there and improving year over year, only 2 years together, Rodgers and LaFleur, Rodgers and his coach. Now think about this. If he was a quarterback on another team, Rodgers, and he was having issues and he wanted out, and we surveyed the landscape, where would Aaron Rodgers go? We'd be like, ooh, the Green Bay Packers. If only they had a quarterback. They're ready to win now. Like, what don't they have, especially after this draft, since all the draft capital is going to be used to improve the team now, since they already have Jordan Love, right? We'd be like, the Packers, that's a great fit. But they have him already. So why would they move him now at least? They wouldn't. And they shouldn't. And Rodgers, when he's looking around, is in a great situation there, even though I get it about the hurt feelings. I get it. That's not wrong. Have they treated him exactly right? No. But they were excellent right away when LaFleur got there. They've gotten better year over year. They should get even better in this draft. And on top of all that, guys, if he wins one more Super Bowl in Green Bay, then he's undisputed greatest quarterback in franchise history. Because, I think he's better than Favre, but Favre is still there, right? They each got one apiece. It's one of them. It's one of the original 8 franchises. It really is America's team. It's the Lombardi Trophy. You know, the Packers from the. There's something so good about doing your whole career in Green Bay, especially if you're set up to win Super Bowls now, better than you've ever been set up to win Super Bowls in your career if you just stay put. Now, are the Packers screwing this up? Sure. But what should Rodgers want? Rodgers should want them to get it together and give him a big, fat contract to stay put.
You know, here's what I would say, Max. If this was 5 years ago, I would tend to agree with you, right? Is that you have a chance right now with Green Bay. They're in their, quote, Super Bowl window. They have all the pieces and parts. They're right on the edge. They're all. But now we're seeing teams basically change, overnight. You saw Tampa and the revamping of what they did. You saw the Patriots just spend a ton of money in free agency. We don't know what it's going to look like, but you're seeing teams kind of fall in love with making sweeping changes. If I were Aaron Rodgers today, the first call I would make would have been to the San Francisco 49ers, right? Let me go play for Shanahan. Let me go out there with John. But you're going to win. You know you're going to win, right? I mean, and here's the crazy part. They just traded 2 first-round picks for a maybe, right? For a maybe Mac Jones, for a maybe Justin Fields, for maybe Trey, whatever that looks like, and they're in position to win right now. There are other teams in the NFL that are going to be right on the cusp as well, where he could step in and do those things. And to your point about how good they have